Because we could have different countries that could have that technology and they
Right.
wouldn't say anything. And they're just gonna test it by attacking systems. So that's fear. It's gonna push companies. We're already seeing companies funding this research, and it's gonna push companies to try and be secure so that when that happens, they will be safe. So I feel like in the next 5 years that QKD could actually see more real world deployability and usability because we're already seeing it's been deployed in different countries like China, and I'm sure the US has something that they're not telling us, to be honest.
Welcome to Impact Quantum. Quantum podcast, turn it up fast. Candace and Frank blowing my mind at last. Quantum podcast, they're breaking the mold. Science and sky beats, it's bold and it's...
Hello, and welcome back to Impact Quantum, the podcast. We explore the emerging industry that is quantum computing. And you don't need to be a PhD in physics or a physicist. You just need to be a little curious. And with that is the most quantum curious person I know, Candace Kahuli. How's it going, Candace?
It's going great, Frank. I'm very excited. Today we are talking to Hillary Ogbodo, and he is the CTO of Almond Inc. And what's actually the most exciting part is he is in Nigeria.
Oh,
And
very cool.
I love when we have a conversation like this where we're all over the globe. So
Absolutely. Well, welcome to the show, Hillary.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be here. It's nice to meet you, Frank. It's nice to meet you, Candace.
So what does Almond Inc. do?
So we are a fintech company
Mhm.
where we're trying to fix the credit problem in Africa, but we're starting from, Africa's most populous country, which is Nigeria. Basically, most people can't access loans because there's no good credit infrastructure. Because, when people go to the bank to borrow money, the bank doesn't know who is going to pay them. You understand? So we provide loans to employees of companies. So currently, we're trying to start with people who actually have a job. So we verify with your company, and you're only able to get a percentage of your salary as loan. And the more you pay back, the more that percentage increases. And we get your credit data. We use that's also you could also pay your rent using our app. So we're just basically checking out credit worthiness to devise a credit score, which we then in return give to the banks, and the banks can know who they can borrow money to and who it's gonna pay back. So that's what we're currently doing, and we focused on schools firstly. Those are the first businesses that we're focused on. Employees in schools, universities, college, high school, and all of that. So that's what we do. And we also provide, other services like bill payments, from your electricity bills to your cable, also mobile money recharge. In our country, you have to buy data and credits to make calls.
Oh,
So
okay.
so yeah, it's not like in the US where you kind of like, buy a whole plan for a month. And if you use up the fast megabytes, you still have access to internet, but it will be slower. That's how it is in the US. But here, once you use it up, it's done. You're cut off.
So they're like
People
prepaid. We have prepaid
exactly.
plans here
Yeah.
that function that way here. Okay,
Exactly.
interesting.
Exactly.
Um, and I don't think people always complain about the credit scoring system and all that, and it has its flaws, but I don't think
Yeah.
people realize what a fundamental bit of infrastructure that is.
It's
Um,
it's it's a huge
Imperfect as it may be here, but yeah, no, it's a huge deal.
yeah, but,
Um,
but it works. It works in the
yeah,
US.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's what we're
Well, that's
trying to
just it, right?
replicate.
Like it's very easy to critique it in a working system, right, and make it better.
Exactly.
But if you don't have it, that's also a problem too.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. Most people
so
can't get loans to start businesses. So yeah.
so Hillary, so connect the dots to quantum.
Okay. So like I said in our initial meeting, right? That currently we don't obviously have access to quantum computers, right? So me personally now, I took the journey on quantum, right? I'm currently, like I told Candace, I'm currently completing my master's degree.
Oh, very
And
cool.
yeah, so my thesis is actually on quantum,
Very
right?
cool.
So,
Yeah.
so what first sparked your interest in that, in
Oh,
quantum?
So it was funny story. It was about teleportation. So
Really?
it was about teleportation. So I was just thinking about it and I was like, there has to be, studies relating to teleportation. Sorry about this. There has to be some studies relating to teleportation in the past. And, I was researching on it and I found the subject topic quantum teleportation, where you could basically teleport data through, light particles, photons, right? When they are entangled together. So if a data is passed into this photon, it automatically appears in the second photon because they are merged, they are entangled, quantum entanglement. Yeah, it was a whole thing because I had to go into quantum physics. It was a huge field. So I had to narrow it down to what I understand because I studied computer engineering and I'm currently mastering in software engineering. So I looked at the current system, right? Every system communicates. We are in the internet. Every system is communicating with each other, right? And in a case where a quantum computer, what's it called, emerges, like in the future, like it's going to emerge, right? The way data is being transferred from one system to another is that data is encrypted first before it's transferred from point A to point B. So in a case where there's like, a third party, a bad actor, basically, trying to steal this data, they're just able to get access to the encrypted form of the data. So now it would take a classical computer a long amount of time to decrypt that message, right? But with quantum computing, quantum computers use qubits, which gives them the ability to be in multiple states at the same time, which leads to faster computation. And faster computation means, they're going to try to guess the patterns to break in that encryption in a faster amount of time compared to a classical computer. So I looked at secure communication systems, which is what my the solution is currently trying to fix. So I looked into how data is transmitted using the HTTPS, which uses TCP protocol, right, to do this data encryption and all of that. So my thesis is titled like an adaptive key generation and exchange protocol using QKD and Kyber, PQC Kyber. QKD is quantum key distribution, right? So basically it uses what's it called? It uses light photons to encrypt information in a
So
quantum channel.
photonics then. So photonics.
Yeah. So so basically it uses the principles of quantum mechanics to encrypt data in a quantum channel, right? So there's something called quantum bits error rate, Kyber. So what is quantum bits error rate? What it does is it let's say I am Frank. Frank is Alice and I'm Bob, right? Frank wants to send a key to me, right? So in the normal classical system, if there's a third party, Candace, who is trying to steal the keys that Frank is trying to send to me, if she's in the network, Frank wouldn't know and I wouldn't know. So if she's able to make away with the keys, I wouldn't know, Frank wouldn't know, but we're still going to exchange the keys. But with QKD, it uses the Kyber rates. So there's something called the cube, that's a quantum bit error rates, right? So it uses quantum bit error rates to detect eavesdroppers, which is the third party that's trying to make away with this data. So in a case where there's an eavesdropper present, the quantum bit error rate is going to spike up. So it's between 0.01 to 0.11, which tells I and Frank that this quantum channel is safe from eavesdropper and has very little noise. But in the case it goes above 0.11, then we know that Candace is in the network and she's trying to make away with the keys that we are exchanging with it between each other. So it tells me and Frank that we have to dispose these keys and try to make a new one.
Yeah,
You
because key
understand?
distribution has been a consistent issue in encryption for thousands of years, right? As long as there's been encryption. And this offers the chance to solve that. Is the threshold fixed? Like, I know you gave a number, it was probably just like an example number, but like,
Yep.
is there some kind of measurement that has to be done to figure out like, hey, this is the threshold for someone's eavesdropping or not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So when it's when a quantum channel is the most healthy when it's between 0.01 and
Mhm.
0.05 kilohertz
Okay.
quantum bit error rates, right? But in a case where it's between 0.06 to 0.11, it means that noise has been introduced into the quantum channel, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a third party, there's an eavesdropper, right?
I got
So in
you.
a case where it's then above 0.11, then there's a potential eavesdropper in the network.
So if you were
And then,
dealing with a situation that was potentially really sensitive, anything in that middle range, you would be
yeah,
very, yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So it's best to transmit between 0.01 to 0.05, but you could also, transmit between 0.06 to
right.
0.11.
Interesting. I
So,
don't want to, oh, so go ahead, Candace.
what misconceptions did you have about QKD early on that later changed?
Personally, I didn't have what's it called, misconceptions,
Okay.
right? The first goal was to fully understand what QKD was and how it worked, right? And God bless open source. There's a lot of information online. So I focused on IBM's because they have a lot of courses on it. I focused on IBM and Google, right? But I decided to go with IBM's Qiskit to work on this project because it has a larger community. IBM has been on quantum computing longer than Google, I believe. I wouldn't say I had a misconception, but I would say QKD is pretty powerful, and it has been adopted in the UK, in China. I think China has built a 200-kilometer actual quantum channel from Beijing to Shanghai. Yeah, the innovations are, and I think China also has what's it called? They created an operating system. This was last week. I saw it on Twitter. So they created an operating system for quantum computers. So it's showing that the space is evolving and it's evolving fast. Yeah, we have to, secure the way we communicate
No,
because of this.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think there was an announcement this morning. I think Germany has finished a QKD system too, like literally like this morning it was announced. This is a fast moving field, right? And I think that
It's fast.
because again, talking about infrastructure, people don't realize key distribution, whether it's quantum or whether it's conventional,
Yeah,
is
it's very
critical
sensitive.
for it's
Yeah.
sensitive, it's critical for financial transactions, everything.
Everything. The
Yeah.
internet uses it. So
Yeah.
anything
I
that's
mean,
integrated into the internet,
well,
it's
you
it's
should
affected.
have it. Doesn't always have it, but you should have it. You're
Yeah.
right.
So, like, are there any practical limitations of QKD deployment that the hype doesn't mention?
I would say the deployment of QKD, I'll use the word like because there haven't been many real world deployments. There haven't been many real world deployments because trying to build a quantum channel, it's yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's the easiest, right? So I haven't personally looked in because I haven't actually touched a quantum hardware. I've been mostly focused on, the software part of things,
Yeah.
right? So I wouldn't know what it takes to deploy a quantum channel, like because the QKD needs a quantum channel to operate. You understand? So yeah. But the major, should I use the word, the major blocker is that quantum computers aren't, should I use the word, readily available.
Mm.
Yeah, currently. But yeah, QKD is, I think it's gonna be the leading quantum resilient techniques when it comes to, key distribution and key encryption and all of that. I believe it's because there's PQC, which PQC proves that's post-quantum cryptography algorithms, right? They say that it's its encryptions are going to be difficult for quantum computers to break, but like that's an assumption. It's not information theoretic QKD, because they haven't actually tested most of these encryptions on actual strong quantum computers.
That's right.
So
It's all theoretical. I think that's a good point. People don't
yeah,
realize that. Like it's not
yeah,
just because and if you look in the fine print, it's just they'll mention like this is likely to survive in
exactly.
post quantum, but like they can't prove it yet,
You can't
right?
actually prove it.
No.
You can't.
And even then, and like as I'm fond to say, I've said this multiple times on the show, like as the general public, we will probably not know when the first real powerful quantum computer will be out there, because pick your country, right? Anyone who figures this out first is going to have a significant tactical advantage on the world stage. And in that circle, there's not really a lot of incentive to share research, just because it's the nature of the beast. But no, you're right. Like, and people, I think when we talk about quantum readiness and things like that, you can assume that things are going to be fine, but you can't rely on things being fine, right?
Exactly.
There's different levels of paranoia, I suppose, are warranted. One question I have: what's the cost difference between conventional QKD and quantum QKD? I'm sorry, not QKD. QKD, if you're not following the acronym we use, is quantum key distribution. What's the added cost of QKD?
QKD mostly relies on, okay, compared to PQC algorithms, its computational cost relies on the system you are running it on, like the hardware you are running it on, right?
Okay.
But when it comes to QKD is mostly reliant on the quantum channel. So how free from noise the quantum channel is, the more keys it generates.
Okay.
You understand? So it
Yeah.
doesn't, like compared to PQC algorithms that rely on your computing power of your hardware to encrypt. But as opposed to that, because even on my work, I compared okay, there were actually three, because the work is an adaptive key encryption and distribution of what's it called? Framework. So it
Right.
consists of three algorithms: two quantum resilient algorithms and one classical algorithm for fallback. So I use the classical Diffie-Hellman for the classical encryption technique, and PQC's Kibber, and then QKD, right? So I actually compared the overhead. I have I wish I could share my screen here, to be honest.
You should be
But
able to. And then, yeah, you should be able to. We'll grant you the access if for some reason you don't have that access.
yeah, I'm used to Google Meets, so
Oh, yeah. In my daily life, I switch between Slack, Teams, Google Meet, and what's the other one? Zoom. So, and then the fifth one I used to use.
yeah,
My
I
head's
see.
all over the place. Yeah.
Okay, I can see.
And then for those listening on the podcast, we'll make sure we link to the YouTube video, which we have now, Candace, all of season 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see my
Awesome.
screen?
We can see your screen. Yep.
Okay, so
Oh, cool.
yeah, I had the whole presentation planned out.
Oh,
But
awesome.
but yeah, this is the evaluation results where I
Mhm.
compared what's it called? So this is the classical Diffie-Hellman, the original, and then this was the optimized version of the classical Diffie-Hellman, because with Diffie-Hellman you have to generate parameters which you're gonna use for the key generation, right?
Right.
So this first version, I actually ran it where I generate the parameters and then the keys within the same
I got you.
simulation. Yeah, and then the second optimized one was where I injected pre-generated parameters, so it didn't have to generate these parameters. So it basically cuts the key generation time by more than half. here.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah. So this here is the overhead comparison versus the classical DH. I compared each mode, that's the PKC Kibber and the QKD, compared to the classical Diffie-Hellman. And the baseline obviously is the classical Diffie-Hellman, which is it generates keys 8.15, it takes 8.15 milliseconds to generate a key, which could be used for encryption using your, AES or RSA, right? So my PQC generation time took 0.007 milliseconds. So like
That's
I said,
extremely fast. That's extremely fast. If
exactly
you look
because
at the other one, the other numbers there, yeah, that's
exactly.
impressive. I would also add that for those that are having trouble following us, either on YouTube or on the podcast, um, the encryption is a very nuanced field, and I highly recommend if you can stomach the math and if you can stomach the read. There's a book called Applied Cryptography. It's about yay thick. It's by Bruce Schneier. I read one of the early editions. Oh my God. I feel so old. In like 2001, 2002.
Man, I
Um,
wasn't.
you weren't born yet. Yeah. But there's an updated one. I forget if the cover is red or blue now because I think the first version came out as blue and then it's red. But anyway, there's a 25th year anniversary edition. Highly recommend that. If you want to get into this space, read that book because it will go through that. In fact, everything you mentioned was all stuff I remember, except for the quantum stuff. Because again,
Yeah.
25 years ago, that wasn't the thing. But I'm told that the 25th anniversary edition does cover that. But that is the go-to book, right? Particularly when you're talking about the DH stuff, the Diffie or Diffie, I don't know how to say it, but the Diffie-Hellman exchange. Yeah. And there's plenty of good YouTube videos that explain it too. But yeah, I knew what you were talking about, but I don't think a lot of people would. Because
No.
fun fact, probably before you were born, one of
Yeah.
the ways I got into cryptography and understanding this was because I had found myself out of a job after having like a hotshot job at a bank and the financial crisis in 2002 and post 9/11. I had a startup that I had, and one of the things we tried for and didn't get was a small business administration tech challenge, which was for I think it was SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research, something, where it was basically diving into some very weird corners of cryptography. And I remember reading that book cover to cover like twice and basically coming up with a pitch and proposal. Now we didn't win it, right? So I didn't win it,
But you
but
learn.
I learned a ton of stuff that a normal .NET developer in the early 2000s would have never touched. And that actually has helped me a lot in my career going forward on other
Yeah.
projects I've been on because I knew some of these weird esoteric mathematical things. So remember, you don't have to win the obvious contest in order to win longer term.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, part of this SBIR, this request for information, was a about steganography, which is basically hidden writing. And that's how I met my wife, actually, because we were talking about tech stuff and she knew what steganography was. And I was
Yeah.
like, that's the type of woman you marry.
Wow.
So, but long story short, if this is a field that, don't worry, there's a lot of scary math, there's a lot of scary formula, but if you can get past that into the conceptual parts of it, it's actually not that bad. It's a bit like running a 10K, right? Or a marathon, right? Maybe not like a marathon, but like you just put one foot in front of the other. And if you keep putting one foot in front of the other, you'll get to
Yeah.
where you're going. You may be tired at the end, but you will get there. And I think that's a
Yeah.
good metaphor for quantum in general, right? Like, can you stop sharing your screen unless you want to show your presentation again? Because I see
Uh,
myself like a
oh.
second ago. Yeah. But no, I mean, I think that's this is hard stuff. This is hard math, right? But it's not impossible to crack, right?
Yes.
It's not impossible to learn. You just have to keep going forward. And as long as you're moving forward, there are going to be some days. Honestly, I always joke, like people ask me, like, how much quantum do you actually do? And I'm like, well, at one point I'd go 15 minutes and then I'd get a headache and then I'd have to stop.
Yeah.
Then I got to the point where I'd get 30 minutes in and then I get a headache and I have to stop. Now I'm at about 45 minutes, right? And you know what? Do I do quantum in my day job? Not yet, but I anticipate that in my career, because I have a 3-year-old who's want to go through college, right? I'm going to have a career, and I think that that clearly the 2020s are all about AI, but I think the 2030s are going to be largely about quantum, honestly.
Yeah.
But I think that a big part of this, and I think the first part of quantum that's going to be commercially viable and commercially successful is where you are in the quantum security and quantum encryption space. Because that's already that's already a financially rewarding space for startups and industry. Yeah. That's cool. I always love when I can geek out, Candace, and someone with some real, like Diffie-Hellman and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know where to find them. I'm telling
You know
you.
where to, you're awesome. And that's just it too, right? This is a global phenomena, right? Last show we released was a lot of the attention is Silicon Valley this. And as an American who lives outside of Silicon Valley, I've experienced this firsthand.
I actually got a message from
Uh-huh.
a Silicon Valley startup
Yeah.
working on quantum.
Nice.
Actually got a message, and they said I should contribute to their open source.
Oh, that's cool.
GitHub. Yeah, I think I'm trying to get the name of the company, but yeah, it was actually last week, Thursday.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, it's I think it's a promising field, to be honest.
Oh, for
Absolutely.
sure. For sure.
And it's one of those fields where you just really need to have your curiosity outweigh your fear of math, right? Or you're just, maybe you like math. I don't know. But like, I have mixed feelings about it, honestly. But my curiosity overwhelms it. And it's just, you just have to be curious about it, right? And there's definitely and it's a whole ecosystem that's going to develop. I don't, that's the big reason, since Candace helped me
I think the most important thing is actually the curiosity, because
yeah,
I have a very huge curiosity, but I have friends who have very little curiosity, but they're really, really good at maths, logic thinking. But that curiosity actually pushes you forward to learn more. So yeah, I think that's a good thing. It's a good thing to have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Sorry, Candace, I don't want to monopolize the mic.
No, I'm thinking about satellites, and I'm thinking about QKD and the globalization of it. Like, what role do we think that satellites realistically can play when scaling QKD?
Okay. So when I was researching on quantum teleportation, there was, I'm sorry I'm saying China, but there was a researcher in China which actually transported it was a little data from the satellites back to his research hub, wherever it is, right? With QKD, because QKD actually requires actual fiber optic cables, like deployed under the ground, because that's what's going to form the quantum channel, basically. So,
and you need repeaters too, every X number of kilometers, right? Like that's the other thing. And those are probably not cheap.
They're not cheap.
No,
they are not cheap.
But a satellite, you just need the satellite and a repeater in orbit.
Yeah.
And it could serve a wide area. Is that true?
Is it if you have a satellite and a repeater? Yeah. I wouldn't really know that, to be honest.
Oh, I was just curious. I was just, because we had a previous guest, and we'd love to have you on a panel if we do a panel event. You can be with her, because she's worked with satellites. I know satellites. Maybe they don't have to have the same type of repeater. I don't know what that means, what that exactly means. But we're going to put a pin in that idea and come back to that in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, what I know from satellites is that they use waves. I've forgotten the exact type of waves that they use to receive information and send information. Even when it gets to trying to send information, like this space rovers, that are deployed to the moon and satellites, to the moon and Mars and all of that. So how they transmit that data is using waves. I'm trying to remember the type of waves, but to my understanding of satellites, they use waves to send and receive information. But what I know for QKD
is it near infrared? Because we had Katanya Kuntz.
Yes.
The lady from Western Canada, and she was saying that it's some kind of particular frequency around infrared frequency. It's not real. It's not infra. I forget, but it's somewhere in the infrared area. But maybe that would explain it. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into that, but I think satellite is going to play a huge role because
Yeah.
we're seeing Elon with Starlink
Hmm.
basically providing internet to remote areas that don't have internet. They should not have, not like they should not have internet, but like they don't have the facilities to have internet. So I think satellite is going to play a huge role.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's
Oh,
going to play.
oh, 100%, because you could put
Yeah,
one or 1,000 things in orbit, you can serve the
exactly.
entire surface. Whereas with, I mean, so this is a big issue actually in the United States too. At least when we were last house hunting a few years back, if you were, and I live in the DC metro area, right? So like Montgomery County, Maryland is, right outside DC. But if you go in the western half of that, it gets very rural very quickly. And broadband is not available. Like there's no fiber, there's no cable. It's not guaranteed. And Montgomery County is next to the national capital. It's one of the most, I think, by income, one of the most affluent in America, and they have trouble getting broadband to every house, right? So you can imagine, like, what chance does somebody in rural Kansas or Mississippi or rural parts of other parts of the world,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I remember when I traveled to Kenya,
Hmm.
and we went hiking basically, and I couldn't get a service, but
Yeah.
someone there had a Starlink. I don't know how they do it on the backpack. They have
Right.
they have the backpack, and they have all that thing plugged in, and the person could literally communicate.
Oh, it gets
Right.
cooler because apparently now
Yeah.
one of the newer iPhones and some of the newer Android phones, you don't need anything. You can actually, if you pay extra for it on T-Mobile, at least in the US, you
Yeah.
can get access to Starlink. It'll send SMS. You can't send
Oh,
voice, not yet. But so theoretically, supposedly this phone and the plan I'm on will let me do it. Supposedly, I haven't tried it yet, but
like that'll be all you need. You wouldn't have like to have like a Starlink
no, you won't have
physical
to now.
device.
No.
Oh,
And
okay.
I think I forget which iPhone because I haven't had an iPhone in like 15 years now. But
Why is that? You don't like
I switched to
Apple?
Android. No, this is actually a long-standing thing. I have iPad tablets, Android phones, and Windows and Mac for desktops because I used to be a Windows phone developer and everything I had was Windows this, Windows that. I was a one platform kind of believer. And when that platform failed, I was like, I'm in trouble. So I want to have one of each. And
Yeah,
iPhones are kind of expensive, so
yeah.
iPads are relatively cheap, so I can stay. I have one foot in each ecosystem, basically. That's kind of my philosophy. Of course, Linux too, but
That's smart. That's
yeah, yeah,
smart.
yeah. Once I've been burned, I try not to get burned again.
I'm guessing you had a BlackBerry, or
I
you
did
didn't.
not have a BlackBerry. No, I was a Windows believer for a long time. So I actually had a Windows Mobile before, like, like was with the little pen and stuff before
Yeah.
Windows, the Nokia stuff. And now,
Yeah.
so yeah, I missed the BlackBerry thing, but yeah, so now I have, and I kind of make sure I have a foot in every platform. So that way, this app isn't available here. I'm like, that's fine. I'll just run it here,
Just switch.
It's right. To swivel the chair.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart.
Well, the more that you talk about QKD, it makes me feel like everyone should make this a near-term investment. All enterprises for sure
Yeah,
should make
Finance,
I
QKD.
definitely. Yeah.
Finance,
yeah,
what other
yeah.
sectors do you think?
What bank was? I think it was J.P. Morgan Chase that had a deal
Yeah.
with Toshiba in the
Yes.
U.S. integrating what's it called, QKD into their system. So I
Mhm.
I I don't know if they integrated it into their system, but I know they had like a test run and everything in a university. I can't remember the name. It was
But I
but
remember that story too. HSBC and JP Morgan Chase are the two
yeah,
that are really,
HSBC. Yeah,
yeah,
HSBC too.
those two are really on the cusp of like, or really on the cutting edge of getting it, right?
Yeah.
Now, will your local
Even
bank down, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, even in the UK, yeah, there's I think HSBC too is your UK company.
I think it's actually based in Hong Kong, but they have a big footprint. They bought a lot of UK banks, basically. But yeah, so they're a global
Interesting.
bank, kind of like JP
Yeah.
Morgan, right? Like, but but yeah, HSBC and JP Morgan are the two names that always come up whenever you see like news and financial space in
Yeah.
regards to quantum. Those are the two names that come up. Wells Fargo, which is an American bank, I think they had some kind of quantum random number generator to help secure their transactions. But again, like it's one of those things where, like you said, like they did a joint test run with the university. But of
Yeah,
course, this is such new technology, you can't just buy it and install
exactly.
it. You
You
have to
can't just install it
research,
full time.
build
Yeah,
it, and then install it. So the fact that they're already doing it, I think, is the thing. And there's probably, I think you're going to see more banks do this. Some may want to pursue the headlines, and some may not.
it's critical and sensitive, you
Yeah,
know, system because
right.
once the financials are attacked, that's bad.
I would
So
imagine finance and defense industry, right? Whether it's
yeah,
Ministry of Defense or Department
just
of Defense, this one.
government
Yeah,
agencies.
it always comes down to guns and money, doesn't it?
It does because ah, I think the first time that I think it was last year. This was last year that this whole Iran conflict was happening.
Yep.
The
Mhm.
first thing that I think that Israel did was they attacked Iran's biggest blockchain company,
Yeah, that would make sense.
and
Yeah.
yeah, literally wiped out more than 60 million, and then they burnt it. They literally just burnt it just to show you that like we can do this. So
Right.
that's a very critical system. It's a very critical system, and yeah.
Because you
So we
need
see
guns,
that
you need money to buy guns, and you need guns to protect your money, right? So like
exactly.
it's foundational to civilization, like it or not, like it or not. Whether and before guns, it was swords, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is not an invention of the 21st century. This is
Before swords, it was dragons. Oh no,
before swords. That's
I got
right.
stuck
Yeah.
in Game of Thrones.
No, you're
I got
right
stuck.
though. You're right though. But I mean, like it's kind of one of those things where
Sticks and stones.
Might has read.
sticks and stones, yeah. Will you ever see 2001? Right, it was the ape that used the bone as a weapon that won. Like, I mean, this is sadly this has been stuck with humanity for forever, and it's probably going to be stuck with us forever too. But no, but it is interesting. But I think any enterprise, any Fortune 500, any top global enterprise is going to want to start thinking about this, right? Because if I'm a drug company, I'm working on secret formula for the next Ozempic, right, or the next wonder drug, right? I don't want that to get leaked because of bad encryption, right? Because that's my business. So I would say that there's going to be two companies left in the future: those that did it early and those that wish they did it early.
Mm.
And a lot of people are actually like doing it early. Like we're
Yeah,
seeing countries fund this and
yeah.
try to integrate this into their system. So it's yeah.
That's
So,
I think the thing that struck me the most. Sorry, Candace, I mean to
no,
cut
no,
you
it's
off.
okay. It's okay.
How global this was, right? Because I know Candace has done a lot of work in terms of like visualize, and we have this in our quantum global report and all that. But it's not just U.S. and China and Western
Yeah.
Europe, right? You see countries, nation states, like getting involved in fostering the research in this space early on. I think it's because there's the guns and money aspect, right? And as well as it's just this is going to define the next century potentially of business.
True. Right.
I was going to
Because
ask. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no. You go, Candace. You've been
She's
going
been very
first.
patient while we
I
geeked
just
out on
figured,
crypto.
let's if we look 5 years out, what signals should we watch that would tell us that QKD has truly crossed from concept pilot program to infrastructure reality?
Personally, I feel like QKD could actually see real world usability and deployment faster than quantum computers are gonna hit the market.
Really
Because yeah, personally, because
interesting.
because 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 I feel like the fear of quantum computers coming to light,
Yes.
it's higher than actually bring the quantum computer to life. I think because right now Google's Willow is the quantum computer with the most qubits. I think it's 108
Something like
if I'm
that. But yeah,
yeah,
Google's Willow is the I think one of the top, either that or one of the IBM machines or one of the top
yeah,
uh
yeah.
publicly known and publicly
No,
available.
thank you. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I want to say.
yeah,
Publicly known,
publicly
publicly
known.
available.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
Exactly. Because we could have different countries that could have that technology and they
right.
wouldn't say anything. And they're just gonna test it by attacking systems. You
Hmm.
understand? So that fear it's gonna push, companies. We're already seeing companies funding this research, and it's gonna push companies to try and be secure so that when that happens, they will be safe. So I feel like in the next 5 years that QKD could actually see more real world deployability and usability, because we're already seeing it's been deployed in different countries like China, and I'm sure the US has something that they're not telling us, to be honest.
Given the defense budget that this country has, and yeah,
Exactly.
I would be mad, honestly, based on what I pay in taxes, if they didn't have something they didn't tell me about.
Exactly. So I think because there are other what's it called, quantum resilient techniques, right? So I
Mhm.
haven't really researched on them, but there are some called the hash-based algorithm. There's the lattice-based algorithms. So there are so many algorithms that they've been researching on and all of that. But I feel like companies and government agencies wouldn't want their system to be exposed, so they have to look for a solution while they also work on having their own quantum computers. But I feel like the funds that will be, spent on security will be more than, what will be spent on development of this quantum computer. So I think in the
Yeah.
next 5 years, we could see a lot of improvements there, like a lot. Because tell me why would China create an operating system for quantum computers when there are no quantum computers yet? Like,
Right.
it's
Right.
it's just something. So I feel like in the next 5 years we're gonna see a lot of deployments of actual quantum channels, which will be used to transmit information securely. Yeah,
Excellent.
It's so exciting. It's very
it
exciting.
is.
So where can folks find out more about you and what you're doing?
Okay, so currently the work, the research that I'm doing, it's for my thesis. So, like I said, I'm almost done with the actual, research. So it's just going through, I'm kind of going through with my supervisor and some of my professors, right? We're trying to make it, we're trying to publish the paper, basically. We
Okay,
want to
cool.
publish the paper. Yeah. That's kind of like taking time because, they have work, I have work, but we still find time in the weekends to meet up
Hmm.
and actually, work on it. But you can find me on LinkedIn. I post about my company there, Almond, right? We also have the websites. I don't really use Instagram, but I use Twitter, but I'm kind of like a ghost on Twitter. I'm not
Same.
public on Twitter. Yeah, so I wouldn't want you to get my account on Twitter. But yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, and yeah, once the work is ready, obviously I'm gonna make an announcement on LinkedIn. It's gonna be published. You could check it out. It's going to be open sourced on my GitHub, and yeah, it's just
Very
that's where you can
cool.
find it. Yeah,
It's great. That's
Excellent.
awesome. Well,
it
And
is.
thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed it, and I think it's gonna be really informative. Really, really informative about QKD, and that's a big deal. It's
It
important.
is.
and
Yes.
people don't realize how important, and just some of the infrastructure stuff you mentioned, whether it's credit score, like there's just the best infrastructure is the one you don't really notice until it doesn't work. And I think that
Yes.
key distribution is one of those, the KD and QKD.
Exactly. So, like me personally, like my company is a fintech company. So we're
Right.
more in the finance sector of the country. And I actually did research because, okay, in my country, there's a governing body called NIBS, which controls all the transactions that happen within all the banks.
Oh, interesting.
Exactly. So I actually met with most of the engineers because I have most of the engineers as friends because
Hmm.
we have a bank, so we have to use them and all of that. So I
Right.
actually met with a couple of them, and most of them aren't scared of the quantum computing era. It's not, I haven't seen them make, they're mostly just focused on, current encryption techniques and how to further protect, how to improve with the current encryption techniques. This is my paper, but what I'm working on, like the further I go, right? If I'm able to get my hands on an actual quantum computer or an actual quantum channel and actually test this in real in real world and see how it works and actually get it working, I could actually, integrate it into Almond, and we could foster that development in Nigeria and Africa.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I could talk to you all day. Hang out with me on the cryptography stuff, and we'll let the outro music play.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That was great.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'm really happy we made this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely,
really
man.
enjoyed it as well.
Cool.